Applications of recycled glass. Solar panels by Tanvi Patel, Zachary and Kaitlyn Flint. History of solar panels. In 1876, William Grills Adams discovered selenium produces an electric charge when exposed to light. In 1953, Calvin Fuller, Gerald Peterson, and Darrell Chapin discovered that silicon cells produce enough electricity to run a small electronic device. They were very expensive, however. The space race of the 50s and 60s increased demand for solar panels because they were needed to power satellites. In the 1970s, Exxon developed a cheaper solar panel that cost about 80% less than the traditional models. Today, solar panels can be screen printed or even used as shingles to power houses. They cost far less than the previous models and are much more reasonable for the average person to afford. How solar panels work. They allow photons, particles of light, to knock electrons free from atoms, which generates a flow of electricity. Each photovoltaic cell is basically a sandwich made up of two slices of semiconducting material. Silicon is usually that material. Phosphorus is on the top layer of silicon, which adds extra electrons and a negative charge to the layer. The bottom layer gets a dose of boron, which has less electrons and a positive charge. The electric field is produced at a junction between the silicon layers. Photons of sunlight knock down an electron free, and the electric field will push the electrons out of the silicon portion. Metal conductive plates on the sides of the cell collect the electrons and transfer them to wires. Electrons can flow like any other source of electricity. Since the light is directly knocking the electrons off, they create a DC current, which then must be passed through an inverter to become an AC current to power a house, cars, and everything else which electricity is used for. This is a scanning electron microscope image of a cross-section of a monocrystalline silicon solar cell containing recycled glass.
There are three types of solar panels: monocrystalline, polycrystalline, and thin film. Monocrystalline solar panels are produced from one large silicon block and are produced in silicon wafer formats. Polycrystalline are produced by melting multiple silicon crystals together, and thin film are amorphous silicon cells that are non-crystalline and are instead attached to a substrate like glass, plastic, or metal. The materials inside solar panels are silicone, a metal frame which is usually aluminum, and recycled glass. In 1994, gallium indium phosphide and gallium arsenide solar cells were used for many space applications, but were not yet suitable for mass distribution. In 2000, the modern inverter, which converted the direct current produced by solar panels to alternating current, were used as a standard source of energy. Today, silicon solar panels, the type used in 90% of applications worldwide, are the most efficient source of energy. Some possible alternatives is the thermoset plastic, which resembles glass due to its molecular structure. There are equal number of ester and alcohol groups. Recycled glass. 3 to 5 objects made from recycled glass are sand or gravel, tile or flooring, matches, and countertops. The history of recycled glass and where it can be found. Recycling started in 400 BC when ancient civilizations would take glass from conquered villages and reuse the glass in their own settlements. During the Great Depression and World War II, recycling and reusing materials became vital because resources and materials were limited and people couldn't afford to purchase new materials. The use of recycled glass in concrete has become popular in modern times, and large-scale research is being carried out at Columbia University. Now it's used in all roads, sand, and concrete. We can find it every time we go outside. It's also used in household products, such as new containers which contain recycled glass. Glass bottles are picked up curbside or from companies and food chains. They're then transported to a processing plant to scan for contaminants, and the glass is crushed in various ways depending on the object it will be used for. For solar panels, the glass is crushed finely into sand for the raw material. This sand contains recycled glass, which contains silicone, which is used to make the solar panels.
Economical impact of recycled glass. While the recycling of glass seems like a beneficial practice, the reality is the practice is decreasing in use. Many recycling companies within the United States are reconsidering the use of recycled glass for the purposes due to contamination rates and limited outlets and markets for recycled glass be put to use. Oftentimes, recycling companies have to pay to get rid of the glass they recycle. Recycling glass is used for sand, gravel, and many other materials that are commonly found in construction.
Applications of recycled glass in society. So earlier we had seen that recycled glass can be made into several different everyday objects such as sand or gravel, tile, matches, and even countertops. These different materials that recycled glass can be made into make recycled glass very useful in several different areas, including construction and building projects, landscaping, and even solar panels. And here we have pictured foam glass gravel, which is often used in landscaping projects. Slide 18. So in terms of landscaping, crushed recycled glass is often used as ground cover and plant mulch, and typically the designers or the landscapers will specify the forms and characteristics that they want out of the recycled glass, and they can do so in terms of its dust, gradation, shape, color, contamination, cost, and its environmental compatibility. So solar panels are one of the more important uses that recycled glass is used for. There are several different parts of solar panels that may be recycled, and this includes silicon solar cells, metal framing, the glass sheets, which is where the recycled glass comes from, wires, and plexiglass. Traditionally, all of these pieces of solar panels have been recycled at glass recycling facilities, and the metal frames and the glass sheets are typically the two pieces that are able to be preserved. All other waste pieces of the solar panels are recycled, and are not recycled, and they're typically burned. So it's important because solar panels are such a significant source of renewable energy in our homes and society, and recycled glass definitely does play its role. So here we have featured a double glass solar panel, and this was developed by NeoSun engineers, and it's useful because its use of the glass allows sunlight to pass through, reducing the illumination that's needed in the room or building it's placed in, and it's also used oftentimes in building projects for aesthetic purposes. The economical impact. So although we always think that the process of recycling seems that it would have its economical and environmental impact or benefits, the process of recycling glass actually under economical scrutiny. A lot of companies are opting not to recycle glass anymore just due to the fact that it's costly, and also the benefits aren't too great. Glass doesn't have any serious impact or consequences from being in a landfill on human health or the human development or society. So really, recycling companies want to focus on other materials that have much more significant consequences if not recycled properly, and also focus their time and energy on recycling those materials that are more significant. So due to the little economical benefit of recycling glass, a lot of the recycling companies really are in no rush to recycle glass. And here we have pictured a landfill in Georgia that actually has a huge mound of glass awaiting the next steps in the recycling process, which is becoming much more common today. Unique properties. So glass contains some of the most abundant elements on Earth, including silicon dioxide, sodium carbonate, and sodium oxide. The large quantities that are available make it able to be produced via mass production. And another important thing to note is that glass does not decompose, which is really one of the reasons why recycling companies are fine with letting it sit in a landfill. And although glass is a ceramic product, it also is an inorganic polymer, and its structure and behavior really does reflect both.